Welcome to a special edition of the Games of 90. I am Robert Q. Seidelman. And as I noted last month, I'm going to do a revisiting of Think Fast. Now, I had already done a full review of Think Fast with the Hardcore Kid around this time last year, where we excoriated the show. But this is a special edition of the Games of 90, because we're going to take a look at the moments of Think Fast that me and Hardcore Kid either missed, or just overall skimmed over just to cut it down to 15 minutes a time. So, in order to understand this review better, go and check out the full review that me and Hardcore Kid did by clicking the link right here. No, seriously, go on, click the link. It's about 15 minutes long and I'll still be here in those 15 minutes, so go, check it out. No, seriously, I'll still be here. Oh, there you are. Right. So, let's get started, shall we? Now, one of the more infamous stunts that we outright missed was the spitball stunt. In this game, one of the locker room players plays an old teacher, asking questions to one team while the other team hurls spitballs at a target. Once the non-spitball team answers a question right, the other team has to answer a question while the other team gets to throw spitballs at a target. After around 90 seconds or so, the team with the most direct targets gets the win and the cash. It's a memorable stunt without a doubt, and does have that Think Fast ideal to it. In short, it's a good stunt. Another form of stunt that we didn't talk about was the ping-pong buzzer games that they had, such as Categorically Speaking, where the host would read off a category and a letter, and the contestants must ping-pong back and forth correct answers. Should one team fail, the other team gets a point. Most points at the end of the time wins the money. It's another good game that the show had, since it actually did make the contestants think fast. Not only that, the brain teaser games they had were more fun than the ones that they tried to shoehorn mess into. And that's one of the major complaints we actually didn't get into in the actual review. When the show tried to shoehorn mess into the equation, it would made the show worse. Because this type of show really didn't need mess in order to be good. I mean, it's like Pictionary back in 1989, where it was a mess-free show, but it kind of got ruined because they tried to shoehorn a lot of mess into the end game. It really doesn't need it whatsoever. Now, that's not to say that all the stunts that were messy were bad or didn't gel with the show. One of the messiest stunts the show had, and one of the best ones on the show, was paint catchers. We lumped this stunt in with another chain-style games, such as Pat the Uncle Close Calls in the previous induction, but this one deserves special mention. In this game, one person from each team got to throw the paint-filled balloons while the other one is the catcher. The first contestant would throw one balloon of a certain color, and then the next contestant had to throw a balloon of that same color followed up with a different color. They must continue the chain until someone forgets to add another balloon or screws up the chain along the way. It's a good stunt and requires a bit of concentration to get along as well. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the show is at its best when it melds things correctly. When it doesn't meld things correctly, it's a big mess. And that's one of the many faults that I have with the Skip Lackey version, because it doesn't quite gel everything properly, unlike the Michael Carrington version did mostly. The biggest offender of the mess for the sake of mess is the game Mess Heads. Played with the teams, one person answers questions while the other person is sitting underneath a container which looks like a paper bag, but it's just a container with a loose bottom. Skip would read a question, and the first person to buzz in and gets it right takes a bucket full of whatever looked like plastic veggies and leftover slime from the many live tours Nickelodeon did at the time, and pour it over their partner's head into the paper bag. Once the bag breaks, then that team wins. Where do I start with this one? First of all, it was nothing more than a wholesale rip-off of Funhouse's Dumbo game. In that game, two contestants or the entire team would have to either answer a question by getting a blow-up animal out of a bucket and run back to their seat and hit the buzzer, or identify what their partner was drawing on some big pad. For each correct answer, your opponent's trash can full of feathers, schmutz, or whatever was in there at the time would go up one notch. Once it goes up 3 notches, it's Dumbo time. Think Fast ripped this off wholesale, managed to screw it up by making the main goal messing up your partner instead of your opponent. They also managed to somehow rip off Funhouse's mantra with the game. Skip would ask,
before we start our next event, which is called Mess Heads, are you guys ready for something really gross?
which is a lift of Funhouse's mantra of,
Our first stunt, let's get messy. I'm taking everybody with...
What a waste. Another flaw that the Skip Lackey version had was that they started to move from a good balance of physical and mental challenges to more physical challenges and less mental challenges. One that I remember vividly is an event called Smelly Garbage Can. Basically, the contestants had to stuff their garbage bags and cans with the garbage that's on the floor. The first one that completes it, or the one that's furthest along with an arbitrary time limit, wins. There's no mental challenge to this besides stuff garbage in cans. Not really thinking fast there. Now we get to Skip Lackey, and I've already done a full induction of how much he sucks, plus also some more thoughts that I did in the full induction. Now, I've watched more Think Fast than any normal human being should, but here's some more additional thoughts that I left out of those first two inductions that need to be brought up. One thing that did get me was that when he was commentating during a game, a lot of it would come off as forced and being done in post. Whenever he would say, alright, let's see how the gold team is doing, or let's see how the blue team is doing, it sounded like it was pre-planned or that his commentary live was downright awful, so they would have to redub the commentary after the episodes were taped. It was extremely annoying, especially during the flog game. When somebody would go into putt, Skip would go into this shush voice to make him sound like a golf commentator, except even more close-up and irritating as hell. Then we get to Skip's interview style, which may be the most lackadaisical style of interviewing that I've seen in a kid's game show. Basically, all of Skip's interviews went like this. Skip tells the audience about a contestant's hobby, then he asks a question about that, contestant answers, and then he says, alright, or very cool, and moves on. It's like he doesn't care about the contestants, the game, or you, the viewer. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Games Today. I think I've talked about Think Fast more than any normal human person should. So, starting next month, we're going to talk about what is probably one of the best kids' game shows of all time. Turn family style, because we're talking about Family Double Dare next month. Until then, this is Robert Seidelman. Goodbye, everyone.